Hi, my name is Leslie. I'm half British and half German. I was born and brought up in Belgium. I have lived in the UK for 23 years and I moved to St Albans in 2000. I'm a speech and language therapist working for the NHS and I predominantly work with children with complex movement disorders. I love seeing the difference I and my colleagues can make to the quality of life of these children and their families. I'm also a member of St Albans Green Party and I was the election agent for 6 years. I've also stood as a candidate in local elections for the Green Party. I support One Day Without Us because on a personal level, I do not know how my workplace would function without the many EU and non-EU colleagues that I have. And on a broader level, I feel that migrants enrich our society and we would be a poorer place without them.
My name is Farhat Zia. I am originally from Pakistan, but I have lived most of my life here. My father came to Britain in mid-50s, and my mother, myself, and my two younger brothers joined him in 70s. I'm a mother. I have three wonderful children. I'm also a grandmother. I was trained as a nursery nurse initially. I worked alongside when I was bringing up my family. I worked as a nursery nurse. I went on to become a youth worker, and later in life, as the year progressed, as my family grew, I became an education advisor. I worked for Hertfordshire County Council. So I worked with the children all my life from 0 to up to 19 years of age. I do a lot of work voluntary. I just accumulated 25 years of working for voluntary section, working in various different communities. I have worked with a lot of the women organisation. I've done various jobs working with women issues. I have taken the forced and arranged marriage issues to United Nations in 2004. I went back to UN in 2007, working on gender equality. So I have done that section of my work as well. This is my home now, you know. As you grow old, you look at where are your roots from? And I have always questioned myself, where are my roots, you know? And I feel I'm very fond of the place that I call home now. I look back at my childhood, you know, how we felt as an immigrant when we first settled here. There were things that were so difficult, especially the language barrier, the culture and everything. And now we see all these, we got some refugees coming into Britain at the moment, and I like to carry on helping those people who are in need. They are people, you know, who welcomed us with open arm. And, you know, when you look back at 40 years I lived here, I met some wonderful people who made me be part of this society. But yes, there are barriers. I'm not saying that as a Muslim woman I don't have barriers, you know, especially ever since I started wearing headscarf, you know. I have lost one or two friends, you know, who just didn't see me as a person. They just saw my hijab, you know. But I'm not a different person, I'm the same person. But, you know, I'm practicing my religion and that shouldn't be a barrier to anybody.
Well, I am Iqbal Zia, and I came to this country in 1982 from Pakistan. Well, I have an extended family, but my immediate family are my wife and my three children and my two grandchildren. I was engaged while I was visiting Pakistan, and then I came to just get married and then returned back to Pakistan after marriage. There were many challenges when I arrived here. But the stronger point was because I was educated and being a solicitor in Pakistan. Coming into this country, I was looking for the same opportunity, but it didn't exist. I said, okay, because you have educational background, I was a teacher in Pakistan and a lawyer, so I thought I need to look at how can I be more progressive in terms of my career's options. So I thought about go back into teaching, because I was a teacher in Pakistan for 13 years. Then I applied for a teaching post, and I was lucky to be given that opportunity. I am a cricketer. I love cricket, and I love cricket when it comes to Pakistan playing against England. It's wonderful to have that experience. I also play badminton. There was a World Cup, and there was World Cup, and Pakistan was also participating. So we went and we bought a 50-inch television, and Pakistan was playing against Ireland, and they were kicked out of the World Cup. So the amount of money I spent on the television. Well, I miss my family, because we have extended family. I miss the culture. I miss the hubble and bubbles. The life here is very calm, very quiet, very still. But when you go to Pakistan, you can see people running around in the streets. Well, this is my home, and I love to stay here, and that's my future plan. Education has paved the way for me to be where I am. Starting from the starting point for being a teacher, then went into law, completed my law degree, and then started practicing in Pakistan. And then when I came to this country, I know there were many challenges, but afterwards, later on, I went into teaching. So I taught for 13 years in a primary school, where I made a difference. I went and joined the Lib Dem. I'm very proud to be a Lib Dem councillor. I'm very proud to say that I'm very thankful for my colleagues, my friends, the community I serve, that in 2017, in May 2017, I took oath as the Mayor of St Albans. And that's a great achievement for me, great achievement for my family and for the whole community. And that has given the community a stronger point whereby they look up to a role model. And that is what I have achieved, and I'm very proud of St Albans. I'm proud of youngsters in St Albans, and I'm very proud to say that I'm Albanian.
My name is Liz Needham, and I moved to the UK from Dublin in 1990 with my young daughter. I also now have an adopted son and a grandchild. I completed my own education here in the UK, gaining my accountancy qualifications and more recently a degree. 10 years ago, after many years of working for other people, I set up my own small accountancy practice where I employ myself and 3 other people. As well as my work, I have volunteered for the last 25 years, previously in a homeless charity and more recently with a refugee charity. I have also worked as a political lobbyist locally, nationally and internationally, and I continue to be involved with local politics. I am supporting the One Day Without Us campaign because I think it is important that people understand the cultural and economic impact that immigrants have on this country. We are so lucky to live in a multicultural melting pot of all that is good in this world, and it is important that we remember this in these turbulent times. I hope to continue living here in the UK with my family and my friends, and to continue making a contribution to society as a whole. Thank you so much for listening to me.
My name is Terry, and I've been living in the UK for 5 years now. I was living in New York when I was swept off my feet by a handsome Englishman. And we were incredibly lucky right out of the gate because my job agreed to move my position over to London, and they sponsored my visa. A few years ago, I tried to do something different, and I decided to start my own business with some partners. And so I set up an office in London, and 2 years later, we've got a team here in the UK as well as an office in Germany. I really love living in England and living in St Albans. Aside from all the personal stuff, I've always loved that England is a more open and communal society. The NHS truly is a marvel, particularly from the perspective of an American. I've learned to drive on the other side of the road, and London has proven a perfect place to run a business that straddles the US and Europe and the UK. I do worry about some of the changes that have been in the news. Renewing my visa has only gotten more expensive and more time consuming and more nerve-wracking in the time that I've been here. So far, I'm grateful to say that it's worked out, and I'm hopeful that it will continue to work out. I've built a whole life here, I've made loads of friends, and I've tried my best to give back at the same time. And that's my story.
My name is Veronique. I'm French. I came in this country in 1984, quite a long time. I arrived with my backpack. I've qualified as a nurse in London in 1989, and I worked in a lot of hospitals in the NHS until 2010, when I joined the social care and private healthcare. To give you an idea, I worked in many London hospitals, University College London, and I did oncology, neurology, many things, many demanding jobs. I also worked in the hospice sector, in oncology and palliative care, which was my favorite. Still funded by the NHS though. I moved to private healthcare and to home care, looking after elderly residents at the end of life and in dementia care in 2010. So what I'm doing is still very demanding and rewarding, but basically the reason why I'm supporting this movement, One Day Without Us, is because everywhere I've worked I have seen Europeans, and even more so now. In social care, we are all foreigners. A shift requires 6 healthcare assistants and 2 staff nurses for 30 residents who all need a lot of care. And if we were not there, if the Europeans didn't work, basically you'd be left with maybe 1 or 2 healthcare assistants for 30 residents. So the mathematics alone can show you how important it is, but we continue supporting health and social care. Thank you for listening.
My name is Max, I'm Italian, and I'm an immigrant. I've been living in the UK for almost 20 years. The first time I left Italy was thanks to an exchange program funded by the European Union, which allowed me to live and work abroad for a few months. When I went back home, I wasn't the same anymore. I decided I wanted to travel more, and so I left again. In the year 2000, I moved to London to study for a university degree. In the summer, I'd work full-time at the airport, and in winter, I'd take part-time jobs to pay for my studies and to support myself. 2009 was a very important year for me. I finished my PhD, I got naturalized British, and I became a father. Soon after that, I got a job in London, so I moved to Hertfordshire. A couple of years later, I started my own business in St Albans. I like the UK because it's a place of opportunities for those willing to work hard. I went to university and I worked at the same time to support myself. I managed to graduate debt-free. I'm supporting One Day Without Us because I would not have been able to accomplish what I did if the UK had not been part of the European Union. My children were born here. They are British citizens, they speak 3 languages, and they embody the multicultural essence of a modern country like the UK. Also, I had my DNA tested last year. Apparently, I am 11% British.
Hi, my name is Danica. I'm originally from Serbia, but I have lived in the UK for 10 years now, and for the last 4 years I've lived in St Albans with my husband and my daughter. At home we tend to speak a little bit in Serbian, a little bit in English. My daughter is bilingual, and I'm very happy about that because it means that she can talk to her grandparents and she can talk to my sister in Serbia. I work as a researcher for a small agency that mainly does work for government departments, charities, local city councils, and we're usually asked to do research for them to help them improve what they do, whether that's youth services or health services or campaigns that they do. I support One Day Without Us because I think that scapegoating migrants never did any good to anyone in history. Most migrants work and pay taxes in this country, and I feel that their positive contribution should be acknowledged, and that it hasn't been acknowledged given the recent negative media coverage and also some negative talk by politicians. And also some migrants can be very vulnerable people who have escaped disturbing, threatening situations in their home countries, and I feel they need our compassion rather than scapegoating. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Wendy Cooper. I live in St Albans in the UK, in Hertfordshire. Originally, I'm from South Africa, and I've been living in the UK now for over 9 years. In these 9 years, I've served various roles in the community, one of them being a treasurer of a local junior school's PTA, and then moving on as the chair of that school's PTA. I've also been a member of that junior school's local governing body for over 8 years, 4 of which I served as the chair of governors there. At present, I'm a member of a scouting group as part of serving as part of the committee, as well as the chair of the local now high school's PTA. I also get involved in assisting in the St Albans Half Marathon, marshalling once a year, getting a group of volunteers together to offer a service during the half marathon, and regularly collect for the Marie Curie collection that happens throughout the year. I am supporting One Day Without Us because I believe that each person has an important part to play in the overall enrichment of the community. And by having multicultural input, it adds a richness to what each person will get out of the community. And I think that we all play an important part in the overall success of the UK. Thank you.